Hello, America. It's us, me and Will. Will Johnson, the founder of Unite America First, who's right there, and me, Barry Nussbaum, the founder of American Truth Project, back together with our Thursday Chat Fest to tell you what we think about the news of the day. Before we get started, I want to mention that we have had a wild week of filming at ATP. We've got about 40 to 50 segments coming out on a number of subjects, mostly relating to Israel. We've had a number of Israeli officers available to brief us on what's going on over there. Stay tuned. Please, please, please sign up on our mailing list so you can get all of these videos sent right to your mailbox. It's absolutely free. So speaking of the Middle East, I think we should start on what's been called maybe the greatest intelligence coup of its kind in the modern era. For those of you that have been living in a hole the last 2 days, Hezbollah, the Iranian proxy guerrilla army, they are ferocious terrorists, have taken over the south of Lebanon from Beirut all the way to the Israeli border. I've been there. I've seen them. And in addition, they're in Syria all along the border, and they've been shooting rockets, missiles, anti-tank weapons into Israel ever since October 8th. The northern part of Israel has completely been evacuated. People's homes are being blown up on the daily, and I'm talking about thousands of rockets. What's really interesting is the UN has done nothing about it. The United States has done nothing about it. The EU has done nothing about it. So finally, Israel did something about it. And what they did is so extraordinarily impossible, it makes a James Bond movie look amateur hour. About, as I understand the story from talking to my contacts, about 4 months ago, Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah, decided that Israel could track cell phones. So instead of talking by cell phone, everyone had to have a pager. You know, one of those things you used to wear on your wrist, on your waist 2 or 3 decades ago. You can't transmit, you only receive. And the pagers would say something like, go to a phone, call right away, meet at so-and-so. Abdul is bringing you something, stuff like that. So they ordered 5,000 pagers. 4,000 went to the Lebanese side of the border for Hezbollah, and 1,000 went to Syria. 2 days ago, every single one of those pagers blew up. Now, if you think about where you wear a pager, on your waist usually, that's an area you don't want blowing up for obvious reasons if you're a man, and Hezbollah is 100% male. Some people are calling this Operation Circumcision, and there are other similar goofy names for it. It's been attributed to Israel. Nobody knows, wink, 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 who did it or how it was done. But literally 4,000 pagers exploded in Lebanon and about 1,000 in Syria. And then the next day, Israel sent a message to Hezbollah saying, stand down, stop firing missiles, or we'll blow up something else. So Hassan Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah, said, oh. So yesterday, the walkie-talkies that they were using to replace the beepers started blowing up. Nobody knows how they're doing this. It's absolutely unbelievable. There are apparently, I'm looking at the numbers, depending on the sources, between 3,000 and 4,000 people, all Hezbollah fighters, with the exception of like 1 or 2 or 3 individuals who happened to be next to somebody who was in Hezbollah, blew up. Several dozen have been killed. A bunch have been blinded because they got the page and they couldn't read it. And so they went like this, and then it blew up, including the Iranian ambassador to Lebanon. Now, that really upset Iran and AOC, among other imbeciles. And they call that an act of terror. My question is, how is it possible that the ambassador from Iran has a Hezbollah pager, unless he's part of Hezbollah, Will Johnson?
Yeah.
Here's a picture that was released by the Lebanese press showing the blown up devices. Now, keep in mind, these blew up on their waists. Um, some people got some pretty severe injuries. What kind of message does this say about the Israeli intelligence services, Will?
It says a lot, actually, because they're wondering how did they know that all of these Hezbollah terrorist members were going to have these devices. And, I'm looking in the comments here, and Liquid Lifestyle says, I heard about the 8-year-old dying. You know, no one wanted any children or innocent people to be involved in any of this. But when Hezbollah is shooting rockets into Israel, which a lot of people disregard, they disregard the fact that a whole bunch of innocent children in Israel die. But when you have when you have one, which is still tragic, regardless, that is like it becomes a whole world outcry. These people have been trying to kill Israelis for years, decades, centuries, even. Right. So this is something that like you said, is out of like a James Bond movie, better than a James Bond movie. And now that and Israel's not even taking any claim for it, but it's kind of obvious they don't have to take claim. These Hamas these Hezbollah terrorists soldiers are being targeted. And look, in time of warfare, this is what happens. We're talking about one kid, which no one wants that. But at the same time, imagine if Israel dropped a bomb in a populated area where these Hezbollah soldiers are, then just guaranteed that other people, many innocent people, will get hurt, because that's what happens in war. No one had a problem with it when after 9/11, when George Bush went into in the Middle East and started blowing up Iraq. And how many innocent people died in that? No one seemed to have a problem with that. World War I, World War II, this is what happens in war. But when Israel does just one, Barry, which is just still so crazy to me, and it's probably the Hezbollah, like the Hezbollah soldier said, "Oh my goodness, what they're going off," and he probably handed it to the kid. Here, you take it. Here, you take it.
Well, don't forget, if your kid blows up, he goes to heaven and gets unlimited whatever, just like you or your wife or your daughter. They send their children to heaven because they think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. But in this case, again, which it irks me to no end, they can kill as many Israelis as they want to, and the world community won't even bat an eye. Because, well, they're Israelis. This is what people do to them.
Well, keep in mind, remember, they blew up 12 kids 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And there was no condemnation.
They're like,
they blew up a soccer field with a targeted weapon.
Yes.
Knowing it was filled with 100 children, and 12 were annihilated, vaporized, and a bunch more critically injured. All, by the way, Druze, which are an offshoot of Islam. And it's such a serious thing to the Israelis that the prime minister paid condolences, because they're all one big happy family, contrary to what the idiots say.
Yeah. But of course, again, the world community says nothing about it, like it never even happened.
I get it.
There's nothing to see here.
All true.
But you get one here. Oh my goodness. I saw a video of them on Capitol Hill, and I can't remember the congresswoman's name. And of course, Code Pink. I'm pretty sure you've heard of Code Pink. Okay.
Oh God, yes. I've confronted them in Washington. They're insane. Yeah. They're funded by George Soros.
Yeah. Complete nut jobs, right? And I can't remember the congresswoman's name that they approached, and they said, "Did you hear about the 8-year-old child that passed away? Like, oh my goodness, look what Israel did. Look what they did." And she asked the person with Code Pink, "Where's your pager?"
I love it.
And the male feminist liberal that, that she was talking to, he goes, what you what that's how you, what did you just say? How dare you? Are you calling for me to be armed? She just ignored him after that. It was
That
pretty
was
good.
beautiful. That was beautiful. Well, there's more out of Iran, and this is really weird. I don't know if you've noticed, but the enemies of America, and I'm going to name two right now, Russia and Iran, apparently are both rooting for Kamala Harris to be president. How do I know that? Well, Putin has endorsed Kamala Harris on a video saying he loves her laugh. It's so pleasant. Whatever. And now it's come out that Iran's intelligence services, working with staffers at President Biden's campaign, now Kamala Harris's campaign, got information from the campaign. Got information from Donald Trump's campaign and leaked it to the Biden-Harris campaign. And I'm not making this up. This has to do with an FBI press release. So Donald Trump is commenting on it like, if, and I agree with him on this, if Iran wants Kamala Harris to be president, who should America want to be president? I mean, isn't that pretty obvious?
I mean, you have Iran, Russia, China, Hezbollah, Iraq, illegals, everyone who says death to America, they all want Kamala Harris. Every last one of them want Kamala Harris. Who wants Trump? Let's just pretend that Russia supposedly hacked the DNC and then turned around and was going to threaten to give 30,000 emails that they just so happened to have to President Trump. Let's just pretend. It never happened,
Russia.
Exactly. And that you know what? That never even happened.
Come on. That could never happen.
Yeah, I mean, and so, and you know, when President Trump said, "Look, if you have them, well, just share them with the rest of us," right? And he was just making a point. And of course, they never shared it with him. And all of a sudden, oh my goodness, he's working with Russia. Putin just endured the cackle. And then you have Iran hacking, actually doing hacking, right? Because it was Seth Rich with the DNC. Here it is. You have Iran actually doing the hacking and giving the information to the Biden-Harris camp. But the FBI, nothing to see here. Well, no dossier, no FISA courts.
Yeah, I'm shocked. It says that the stolen non-public material had been acquired by Iranian actors through cyber breaches at the Biden-Harris campaign. The Trump campaign, and were shared with the Biden campaign. And this is according to the Office of Director of National Intelligence, the FBI, and the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA. I mean, these are the major agencies of cybersecurity for the United States saying they've breached the Trump campaign and they're sharing evidence with Biden-Harris. And Biden-Harris didn't come forward with it.
Nope, not at all.
Kamala Harris didn't make a mention about it. All these agencies came out of it.
And did you hear? And did you hear about the person working in the Harris camp that has ties to Iran?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can't make it up. You can't make it up. So there's the connection right there. And did they turn it over? Did they let President Trump's camp know about it? Absolutely not. Like, what information can we use here? And it's not even October. I guess whatever it is that they received, they're waiting until October.
For the usual October surprise?
For the October surprise.
Could be. Here's something rather surprising. For the past year, we've seen the Queers for Palestine parades all over the United States. These are LGBTQ whatever organizations who insist that the Palestinian territories are inclusive and protective of their rights, which is completely, totally, 100% a lie. How do I know? I've been there. I've seen the building they throw the gay men off of to execute them for the capital crime of being a homosexual. However,
Wow.
I've never heard of a Queer for Palestine demonstration parade led by anybody who's been to the Middle East. Here is just a typical one of those parades in New York City, right? Queers for Palestine, they are so fired up about this, right? Here's a problem with it, Will Johnson. They'll all die if they go there. They will be executed after being tortured publicly. One of the typical things that Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad does, and these other organizations, is they torture the guys first, they shoot them a few times, and then they heave them off buildings as a warning to other people not to decide to be homosexual and engage in acts that the Quran thinks are worthy of the death penalty. We've shown the videos of the imams saying, you are not to be redeemed, you cannot apologize, whipping is too good for you, you must be executed. Here's the great story. There's an organization called the NTC that has put up $1 million. $1 million if these Queers for Palestine go there and demonstrate for Queers for Palestine.
Oh,
It
so,
must-
so wait. So let me make sure I get before you finish. So they put up $1 million for them to go and do their Queer for Palestine there, and then they collect the money when they come back.
Yes. They
Why
got
did
to
I
come
think
back.
of that?
Wait, but listen, let me give you the rules to get the $1 million.
Okay.
They have to make a parade.
Uh-huh.
Parade must go at least 1 kilometer, which is about half a mile.
Okay.
It has to be on a major street. It must have 20% participants. I'm sorry, 200 participants, 80% of which must be Palestinian, to show inclusivity in the Palestinian Authority.
Right.
And they can be from Judea, Samaria, or Gaza. In addition, the participants must show outwardly LGBTQ pride symbols or dress like rainbow flags, trans flags, full leather outfits, or in drag. At least half the signs must be in Arabic, and the parade must be filmed. So far, not a single Queer for Palestine has taken up the offer of the $1 million parade guarantee.
I mean, that's easy money.
It ought to. I'm surprised they don't have 50,000 people signing up to fly over there right now to start their parade down Gaza Boulevard.
That's easy money.
Hello? Doesn't that sound great?
It really does. It really does. I mean, I'm surprised they haven't taken up on that offer yet. I mean, because here in the United States of America, they're all up and down the street, and they get big participation here, Barry. I mean, huge, all over the place. So they should be able to do the same thing over there.
The thing that gets me, I've been there. Tel Aviv has the second largest gay parade in the world.
Yeah.
And they're out there in all their paraphernalia, leather and flags and
Yeah.
And they are accepted.
Everything's hanging out.
Oh, yeah. And it's a big time deal. It's the only country within thousands of miles where you don't get executed for doing that. But queers are for Palestine because they're stupid. I have no explanation, but they will all die. And this $1 million, which by the way is fully pledged, okay, fully pledged. All you got to do is sign up and follow the rules. You know, major street, 200 people. You got to film it, and your sign has to be in Arabic, just so there's no confusion for the crowd that's going to be cheering for you with AK-47s and swords and whips and fire hoses and so on. Anyway, I thought you'd get a kick out of that since we show the weirdness here in the United States, which sometimes gets really, really nutty. The narrative has gone so crazy, and you mentioned like Code Pink, right?
Mhm.
They're a big, big, big backer of gay rights, but none of them has ever been there because that would really screw up their narrative, Will Johnson.
It really would. I mean, they have the name code pink. I mean, you know, they have all the other colors involved too. And yeah, I can't wait for the day that I'm in DC and I can, you know, have a conversation with Code Pink. Cause I remember I used to go to DC every now and then, maybe twice, sometimes even 3 or 4 times a year, just depending on what was happening. And when I was there, I don't ever recall seeing Code Pink. So I don't know how new Code Pink is. They may have been around for a long time. Maybe I just, you know, never ran into them, but I didn't really start seeing them until after October 7th. October 7th happened. That's when I started. That's when I'm like, what is this Code Pink? And they're supporting these terrorists. And I'm like, this is weird. Really? And of course, their support of Israel being destroyed, and they're supporting the terrorist organization doing it. So I had
Dude,
never
wait a
heard
minute,
of Code
wait a minute,
Pink
wait a
until
minute.
then.
Let me be very clear. I was at an APAC meeting where I got, and then I was invited to a congressman's office to discuss what I'd seen in Israel my last trip. They were running up and down the hall screaming. They don't talk, they scream. Bloodthirsty baby killer, blah, 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 in your face. And that was 10 years ago. So you,
Really?
you don't hang out with the right terrorists. They are domestic terrorists. They, they're the ones that go into Congress and scream.
Are
They
you
go
saying I
into
wasn't hanging out with the cool kids?
yeah, you literally in the wrong neighborhood, bro, because I'm telling you, they are nuts. And when they
May,
start yelling, they don't it's no conversation.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Maybe you know
They-
what? Maybe they were there. They just didn't identify themselves as Code Pink. Maybe they were saying something else. Because I remember this whole thing about these nut jobs. They're kicking and screaming, saying impeach him, impeach him, impeach him. So they probably were among them. You know, they're just now screaming about, you know, Israel now.
Well, I think because like I said, they are funded by Soros organizations.
Hmm.
I think they go to whatever they're directed to go and they scream about. They're not very civil, if you know what I mean. They don't believe in free speech in the sense of let's have a discussion, right? Um, they are they're very disruptive, and I think their philosophy is if they scream loud enough about whatever cause they are given, that you literally would go, "Oh, my mistake. Thank you for screaming in my face for 20 minutes. I get it. I'll change my mind." I don't know what else they're thinking. I really, really, really don't. There's some weird stuff going on in Venezuela. You know, in the debate, one of the points that Trump made over and over and over and over again, and he's right to have made it over and over and over and over again, is the border is wide open and we don't know who's coming in. Well, in the case of Aurora, Colorado, we know who's coming in. They are Venezuelan gang members and they are roaming around the city and with automatic weapons that they got from God knows where. And they're literally taking over apartment buildings. I mean, look at this video. This shows a group of men carrying weapons going up a stairwell. It's captured by somebody's Ring camera, on their doorbell kind of thing. And it shows them taking over the apartment building. And just after this, there was a big shootout in the parking lot where the police responded trying to fight their way into the apartment building that the gang had taken over. You're not going to believe this. The city of Aurora said, yes, we are concerned there's a small Tren de Aragua, or called TDA, that's the name of the gang, presence in Aurora, and we've been taking it seriously. We have responded. We've made arrests. We continue to make arrests. We will continue to address the problem.
No. Look like we got a. Okay.
Am I back?
Sorry. Yep, you're back. You were going through the matrix.
Yeah, apparently. So what I was reading you was the response from the city of Aurora saying that this is caused by out-of-state owners of the properties, not the gangs with their automatic weapons, kicking people out of their apartments and taking over the buildings and shooting people that resist them. No, because then they'd have to, blame the open border and the TDA gang members as terrorists, which they are. Yeah. That would be, honest. So instead, the city of Aurora is blaming it on the out-of-state owners, as if being an out-of-state owner equates with bringing in gang members that shoot your tenants.
That's just absolutely ridiculous. You know what it makes me think
of the political party that's running this town?
Yeah. They're associated with blue and a donkey.
I figured you would know that.
Yeah. What's the technical term for a donkey?
Yep.
And you know what it makes me think about? It makes me think about what President Trump said about these monsters. He called them animals. And of course, they take what President Trump says and they twist it. He's talking about these people that are doing horrible things to human beings. That's who he's talking about. That's what, and they're doing this. And of course, when you have these monsters doing these horrible things, you have these donkeys that will ignore it and will even give it a pass because they're the party of compassion, of love, inclusivity. We're supposed to be together. We're supposed to be humble. We're supposed to be loving, DEI, all of that, right? These donkeys. So they don't want to talk about anything bad. And it also makes me think about here lately, and if we have time, we get into it, I'm pretty sure, how they're blaming President Trump for all of the things that's happening to him. And that the reason why is because President Trump is only talking about what they are doing. So again, just like this story here, you see the crime taking place. They don't want you talking about the crime. Talk about joy, joy, joy. Don't talk about what they've implemented, the policies that they put in place that allow this to happen in the United States of America. Just talk about joy. Something's wrong with our society.
Well, does it bother you that nobody seems to think, I'm talking about people in government, that guys with machine guns, literally machine guns, in your apartment building are not a good thing? And so you blame that on the out-of-state landlord? How about the guys with the machine guns in your apartment buildings?
Yeah, ignore all of that.
and they're self-avowed members of this vicious gang who came in across the border unchecked, unvetted, right?
Yeah. And
When
what?
Trump
You know what?
says, when Trump says there's really bad dudes coming in,
Yeah.
show them that video, please.
Yeah.
Seriously, show them that video. America's getting a lot dumber, Will, and it's intentional. It's intentional, and I'm not talking about a couple places. This is just extraordinary. Check out the educational system in Oregon, with the curriculum being publicly explained to be this, well, ignorant. I don't know how future Americans are literally going to compete or even get regular jobs. Check this out.
Need to be proficient in reading, writing, and math to graduate because having standards to graduate disproportionately harms students of color.
Dang. What's up with all these books?
Is that real? Or is that like a
That's
satire?
the first part are real. The second part was the comedian making fun of it. But the truth is, reading, writing, and math are racist. You racist. And so
Now I've heard that before because they don't want to. That's why they changed the grading scale, because people of color have a hard time where other people don't. Instead of asking why is that the case, if that is the case, they want to dumb down everybody else. How does that help?
Jesus, you are so unwoke. I'm so disappointed in you. Judging people on their performance is racist, Will. It just
I had no idea.
I know. And you know what? It takes a while to acclimate, and understand that the grading system is racist. That, remember, we did a thing about math. 2 + 2 is not necessarily 4, because that's objective. Everything should be subjective.
Right.
And boys and girls and male and female and gravity and the sun, those are all a matter of opinion, Will. I need you to come around to the way of the future.
It's your truth.
Right.
That's your truth.
Thank you for acknowledging my truth. Now you get it. And
again, something very. I mean, you're pointing it out.
Who's going to give these people jobs, Will?
Well, I guess if they implement DEI across the entire country, there's going to be a lot of jobs.
You mean like at the Secret Service, for example?
Or at the transportation services, for airlines. Yeah. I mean, who cares if they're falling out the sky, right? I mean, that's what it's all about.
You've got a black midget transsexual pilot that can play video games.
Yeah. I did stay at a Holiday Inn.
Oh, so that makes you smarter. I think they took that commercial off because it was true.
It's like, this is hitting too close to home with the DEI.
Like, I didn't know that you knew how to run a nuclear power plant. Well, I did stay at a Holiday Inn. That was good. Well done. So I'm sure you know this. One of the titles of President of the United States is Commander-in-Chief. And what that means, for those of you that don't know, it means you're the commander, the head commander of all of the armies of the United States: the Air Force, the Marines, the Coast Guard, the Navy, the Special Forces, the intelligence group, everybody out of the Pentagon, everybody at the CIA. You're the boss in charge.
Yep.
So, there's 2 ways that power trickles up and down. Number 1, it's your title. And number 2, it's how you present yourself as commander-in-chief. If you're a blithering idiot, well, the troops are going to literally lose faith in you, right? And they don't swear allegiance to you as the president. They swear allegiance to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's the swearing in that your father did and all the other men and women that have worn the uniform, right? What's really scary is when somebody lies about the troops in a big way. Now, here's an interesting story. We know for a fact that ABC News bent over backwards in the debate to attack Trump every time they could, to correct Trump and fact check Trump. And numerous lies told by Kamala Harris were just let go. ABC News was humiliated by the backlash.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And now they're starting to fact check Kamala afterwards. Here's a video you won't believe.
About her comments about the military. She said during the debate this about the U.S. military. Let's listen.
As of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century.
Our fact checkers found that to be false, and I have a lot of experience in that area as well. There are currently 900 U.S. military personnel in Syria, 2,500 U.S. troops in Iraq. All have been under regular threat from drones and missiles for months. We also have action in the Red Sea. We also, every single day, the Navy SEALs, Delta Forces, special operators can be part of any sort of deadly raid. So why would she make that claim?
Well, I think what's important here, Martha, is that Kamala Harris, in contrast to Donald Trump, demonstrated herself to be commander-in-chief. We are in a world where there are all sorts of conflicts, and it's all the more reason we need somebody who's serious and who supports the military. And just remember,
But Governor, excuse me, but she said there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone. That is not true. You say she demonstrated her ability to be commander in chief, but did she not?
What the lady from ABC should have said is, you're not listening to me. Kamala lied, and this network didn't correct her. So we're trying now with an audience 99% smaller than watch the debate, but we're trying. And this poor governor who's representing the campaign, since Kamala doesn't take questions from the media because they could trap her, had no answer that made any sense other than by that answer, Kamala proved she's a better president and commander-in-chief, which is exactly the opposite of what she proved by lying about the thousands of men and women that are in harm's way getting shot and blown up.
Yeah, I saw that and I was blown away. And you know what? I think the only reason why, and you alluded to it, the only reason why ABC is saying something because Kamala Harris embarrassed the entire network. And now they're trying to regain any kind of trust that they may have had with their audience, or they're trying to gain some kind of credibility back, but they lost all of it. That debate was a total setup. She lied. They said nothing. They were silent about it. President Trump mentioned something, even about dogs and cats, and then they ran with it. And now ABC, because they did this to themselves, trying to act like we're just trying to get to the story. And the governor that she was talking to, saying that Kamala Harris not even addressing the question. Did you see the video with the military personnel watching the debate and they responded to it? I mean, they're like, what do you think we are? And you can't ignore it. Got millions and millions of views. And I think that's part of the reason why ABC actually had to bring that up, because they look like a bunch of idiots.
And quite frankly, I don't remember the reporter's name for ABC, but I know she's a military expert. As she said, I have a lot of experience in this area. And she's right. If she wanted to be direct, she can say, the vice president lied on our network. We let it go. we didn't fact check her. We're trying now. Will you acknowledge that that was a misstatement at minimum, or probably more honestly, she just flat out lied? And the lady,
Yeah.
the governor goes, well, it just proves she's a better commander in chief. And if I was ABC, I would say, you mean part of the job is lying on national television in front of 70 million people? Because that's the truth. That's what she was defending.
Yeah,
right.
That's exactly what she was defending. She was defending Kamala Harris lying, and she could have also said, "Look, the United States of America is not in a direct war with anybody across the country." That's what she was trying to allude to. Across the world, yeah, across the world. No, which would be a true statement that we are not directly now proxy wars. Proxy, that's completely different story, but the United States of America is not in direct conflict with any other nation around the world. She could have came back and said that, and that's what she was referring to. She could have helped out with the lie, but she didn't even do that. She didn't even know how to help out with the lie, except for just telling another lie. Because they're digging that hole. You tell one lie and then you tell another lie trying to get out of it, and it just becomes a bigger hole.
I was going to say, you're just digging and digging and digging,
Yeah.
and that doesn't fill the hole. That makes it deeper.
Yeah.
So twice for sure, there have been assassination attempts on Candace in the last few weeks, and possibly out of New York. We don't have all the story yet. There's conflicting reports that a dog found a bomb in a car, and as the car was approached, the guy ran away, and then it was denied. I really don't know. But the fact is, there have been at least 2 assassination attempts.
Really?
Yeah, the third one is not being publicized yet. But what's really weird is when you go to the White House, and I thought this was a brilliant exchange between Mr. Ducey at Fox News and the press liaison for the White House, who Jean-Pierre, who is just horrid. And she lies every day with a nice smile on her face. Very pleasant lady, but she's got a horrible job. Check out who she blames for the attempts on Trump's life. This is a shocker.
2 days since somebody tried to kill Donald Trump again. And you're here at the podium in the White House briefing room calling him a
threat that the former president represents to our democracy.
How many more assassination attempts on Donald Trump until the president and the vice president and you pick a different word to describe Trump other than threat?
Threat to this country.
Threat to our democracy.
Trump is a threat to this nation.
I actually completely disagree with the premise of your question.
Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans quote a clear and present danger to our democracy.
And to say that from an administration who has consistently condemned political violence.
We're all called by duty and conscience to confront extremists who put their own pursuit of power above all else.
You called your opponent an existential threat. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye.
American people are watching.
It shocks me that this is the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah.
Accuse your enemy of what you do is Nazi propaganda. I mean, that's what the minister of propaganda in Germany said, that's what we do regularly. We accuse our enemies of exactly what we're doing. Stalin did the same thing. Now we are experiencing as fellow Americans where Trump is a threat. Trump is a threat. Trump is a threat. He'll destroy our country. He'll destroy our democracy. If you're a little bit off and you've got the ability to do something about it, and you consider yourself a patriot, right, to uphold and defend the Constitution, you might actually think you're doing a good thing by serving your president or your vice president or their representative in, the White House briefing room. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. You know, I think I may have brought this up before. Let's pretend we have a time machine, Barry,
Okay.
You know, when you were, let me put it like this. When you were a lot younger, you know, when you were in your 20s, you know, maybe 10 years ago, and did you ever have a conversation, just like an off the wall conversation, you know, just if I had a time machine and I could go back in time, what would you do? You know, and one of the biggest things that come up where people just, you know, fantasizing, just out, you know, having a conversation about time machines. One of the things would be that people would go back and take out Hitler. That's one of the things, you know, and there's other things, historical places, go back, see dinosaurs, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the most common ones is taking out Hitler. So these people listening to Karine Jean-Pierre, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, even Liz Cheney, Adam Kissinger, can't leave them out of it. When they're all out there in the government state media, MSDNC, CBS, ABC, CNN, NBC, all of them saying President Trump is an essential threat to our democracy. You have some wacko, some nut job out there saying, oh, I could be labeled a hero if I go out and take him out. And guess what happens? Now you got these idiots doing it. And then to get back to Karine Jean-Pierre, right before Peter Doocy asked her the question or saying, don't you think you should stop saying that he's a threat to America? Don't you think so we can tone this down? He said, you, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and you right here at the panel, because she just said it moments before he asked the question. She got upset with him saying, how dare you ask me that question? I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here. How dare you ask me that question? Which that question is dangerous. That question you just asked me is dangerous, even though she just said it. So they cannot calm down. They cannot bring the rhetoric down because of the TDS that they're suffering through. They have TDS so bad, they're so disconnected that they still telling people that they have to get Trump. Look what Hillary Rodham Clinton just did. She just came out days after saying that President Trump is a threat and he needs to be dealt with. And not only that,
they're saying it all over politics.
Yes.
They say it on the View every day, Will. Every day. And you know, there's millions and millions of people that don't take a lot of pushing to go do something crazy.
No. And a lot of these people are highly on drugs. They're on anxiety drugs, and all these drugs alter their minds and they get them to go out there. And isn't it something how this is all Trump's fault because of his rhetoric. It's his fault because of what he's saying. Just like I mentioned a minute ago, what is President Trump actually saying? President Trump is talking about our economy and who did it to our economy. President Trump is talking about the price of gas, your grocery bill, your electric bill, the illegals coming into the country, the verge of going on World War III. And he's talking about who's doing it and who's done it to the country. But that's the rhetoric they don't want him to talk about. Why? Because when President Trump starts talking about it, it comes to the surface. People start paying attention. They want him to shut up. They want him to be silent all over again.
And you know what? Somebody might get lucky one of these days. Lucky, I mean, in a bad way for President Trump. And I'm very sad to say that.
Yeah, let me add this to it because, you know, they've tried once, they failed. Tried again, they failed. Who do you think is next, Barry? Who do you think is next?
Vance? I don't know.
I mean, he could possibly be. Have you ever heard of this book called Whites, Blacks, Racist Democrats?
No.
It's a book by Reverend Wayne Perryman. Can I read something to you? Just really quick. It's really short. It's really short. And this is it's the same thing that played out. So this is a book. It says The Untold History of Race and Politics Within the Democrat Party from 1792 to 2009. And on page 32, Barry, listen to this because this applies to today. Because they've already tried a couple of times to get President Trump. They were unsuccessful. Listen to this. It says Republicans of both races were threatened, beaten, shot, and murdered with impunity. In some areas, Negroes stopped voting or voted for the Democrat ticket as the Klan demanded. So they were going out because if you did not support the Democrat Party, they were going out and they were doing all of these horrible things to people to force them to vote for Democrats. Are we starting to see that today? Are we going to see that today? It's the same party. They're going to start attacking conservatives, Republicans, MAGA extremists, because we're not supporting Kamala Harris. They're the same party then. They're the same party today. They're doing the same tactics. We're seeing it all over again. History being repeated.
Scary times, brother.
It really is.
Scary times, truly. Think about this. Biden was relieved of his intent to run for re-election in a coup. Nobody voted. They just decided after some unknown threats were issued. And Kamala Harris was picked and coronated, not elected.
Selected.
And her vice president was picked. Nobody voted for him either. And
Selected.
so Biden was sent to the beach. Just stay out of our way. And it's September now. And if you think about it, there's 4 months until the inauguration. Who's running America? Kamala Harris isn't even in Washington every day. She's very, 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 very rarely there at all. She's campaigning. That's normal, right? And
Biden's on the beach half the time.
That's exactly what I'm going to show you. He has literally disappeared, and he's spending so much time on the beach that even the Secret Service is starting to laugh about it. Here he is this week on the beach, but he did wave, and there's Jill Biden next to him, and they're chilling in Delaware on the beach. Get this. He has racked up 532 vacation days in less than 4 years. That is literally 40% of his presidency. In a normal job, that would be 48 years of vacation time. And he's done it in 3. Who is running America? It's a question. And I'm
the deep state.
To death. I'm scared to death that you may actually know, and I'm not going to like the answer.
The deep state.
Let me guess. We didn't vote for those people, did we, Will?
No, not at all. Not at all. And you know what? Do you know the reason why Joe Biden stepped down?
There's a million opinions. What's yours?
I'm still waiting for him to come out and give us the reason why he stepped down. I'm still waiting for that. I don't know. Well, we know why he stepped down because Nancy Pelosi, Obama, the Clintons, they're terrified of President Trump going into office because President Trump, he knows the lay of the land now. He knows what's going on. There's a reason why they're trying to eliminate the man. There's a reason why. Right? There's a reason why. So it's the deep state, the shadow government that is running the government right now. Joe Biden, he's just coasting out. He's a lame duck. And when he did do his little, farewell video, he did make a statement in there that I've never heard Joe Biden mention before. He said that the United States of America was a republic. He
finally looked at the Constitution.
But he was quoting, if I'm not mistaken, was it Benjamin Franklin or
hold it, you got it already. It's a
Benjamin
republic.
Franklin.
It's a republic if you can keep it.
If you can keep it. He actually quoted him. And I'm saying this is interesting. So right there, Joe Biden snuck it in saying, look, they kicked me out. It's a republic if you can keep it. But he's going along with it right now. He's going along. And that's part of the reason why he did not have an issue putting on that Trump hat. That's part of the reason.
That's interesting.
So he's still playing along because they still got his family under control. You still got Hunter Biden to deal with. He's still being all hemmed up. So they need to be able to make an scapegoat for him and his family, the Biden crime family. So he's kind of like going along, but he's still putting out, he's like, his mind is gone, but he's putting out little subtle messages, wearing that Trump hat. It's a republic if you can keep it. It's a total coup. It's a total coup against him. And he knows it.
Totally.
It's a total. And he's going to go, and they're trying to tell him, look, you step down, you get to keep your, keep your reputation or keep your honor or whatever.
You won't get
your legacy. That's what I'm looking for.
Money.
You're exactly
a great president. Like
Nancy you still
Pelosi
have the
said.
Secret Service. You keep you get your legacy. You get the Biden library.
She wants to put him on the North Dakota, the four heads with Lincoln and Jefferson and Washington. She said that Joe Biden ought to be up there in Mount Rushmore. I mean, that's maybe the stupidest thing Nancy Pelosi's ever said. And trust me, she has said some really stupid stuff.
Oh yeah. So the latest one, did you hear her say that Kamala Harris did go through a primary? And she actually said, yeah, she just said it. She said, what are you talking about? Because Kamala Harris did go through a primary and no one challenged her.
Oh, gosh.
She actually said that. And the lady that she's sitting on the panel with, she was like, oh, okay, yeah. Acting like ABC. Knowing good well is not true, but because Nancy Pelosi said it, we're just going to go along with it. There's a lot of stupid people in this country. Someone was asking in the chat, I believe it was Caitlin, if I'm not mistaken. She wanted me to mention this book again. It was Whites, Blacks, and Racist Democrats by Reverend Wayne Perryman. This is an absolutely awesome read. I learned so much about how the Democrats and the party, the parties never switch because they're using the same tactics.
Good recommendation. We'll look at it. For those of you out there that are listening to Kamala Harris this past week, 2 weeks, calling for an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, no matter what you believe that the Palestinians want peace, I really, 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 really need you to hear this. This is one of the Palestinian religious leaders. And what he's going to say to you, and you'll see the translation, we will never make peace with the Jews. We will kill every one of them. And when we're done killing every one of them, we will dig up all of the Jews buried in Israel and get rid of the bodies until there's no proof left. We will never, ever make peace with the Jews. This is their religious leader. You need to see this video.
ومهرها الدماء وعلينا أن نتحمل لأننا نطمح بأن يكون لنا دولة قائمة مستقلة وأن الكيان الإسرائيلي هو كيان معتدي وظالم ولذلك هذا الكيان سوف يتم إزالته من هذه البقعة الجغرافية فلسطين. الذي دعا إلى هذا الشعار يجب أن تزول إسرائيل من الوجود. نقول له للإمام الخميني نم قرير العين أيها الإمام العظيم في عليائك. فهذا الشعار سوف يتحقق بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى وقريبا. الفرق بيننا وبين العدو الإسرائيلي أننا نستقبل شهداءنا بالزغاريد وبالهتافات وبالشعارات وبالورود، أما هم مهزومون ومأزومون داخليا بالعويل والصراخ والاستنكار والرفض وإلى غير ذلك من الجزع. بعد معركة الطوفان لم يراهن الفلسطيني على أي شيء من هذا الكلام، حتى على جامعة الدول العربية نحن لا نثق فيها ولا نراهن عليها ولا على مجلس التعاون الخليجي. نحن نراهن فقط على خط واحد هو خط المقاومة والمواجهة. أما بما يتعلق بالإغراءات، هذه الإغراءات لن تغري من يكون هدفه الشهادة أو النصر أو التحرير. هذا ينفع مع طلاب الدنيا، أما طلاب الآخرة تركوا هذا الغرض خلف ظهورهم، لن يلتفتوا إليه أصلا، لأن الشعب الفلسطيني أصبح اليوم أكثر وعيا وإدراكا وأن البندقية أو السلاح هو الطريق الوحيد لتحرير فلسطين، وأن العدو الإسرائيلي يجب إزالته عن كل فلسطين. وأنا قلتها سابقا، نحن لن نرضى بعد تحرير فلسطين أن يبقى قبرا ليهودي واحد في فلسطين، حتى لا يبقى أثر ولا ذكريات. الكلام العبري سوف يشطب ويمسح، يستبدل بالكلام العربي والكلام اللغات اللي الدول اللي هي وقفت وساندت الشعب الفلسطيني.
That's one of their religious leaders. There will not be one Jew left alive. There will not be one Jew left dead. We will erase all the Hebrew, and all of the martyrs will go to heaven and get all of their presents. You notice this guy's not sacrificing himself. They never do.
No.
What they do is they sacrifice their people. And in this case, obviously, this is why Israelis are saying two-state solution. Are you insane? Every one of them wants to kill us.
Yeah. They don't want a
Literally
two-state
wants to
solution.
kill us.
They want one state, their state.
Right. And the Jews will be killed and sent
Yeah.
away, the ones that live. We're almost out of time. I want to bring your attention to one more item that just came up today. One of the terrorists that was killed in Hezbollah's army in Lebanon is a guy named Fadi Abbas Bazi. Apparently, he has relatives that live in Dearborn, Michigan. The mosque in Dearborn, Michigan is having a memorial service today for Fadi. And if you think I'm kidding, they literally put this on the internet, and you notice they call him a martyr, Fadi Abbas Bazi. And all of the public is invited to come and pray for him. This is one of the guys that got blown up by the pagers in Hezbollah. I mean, the Hezbollah pagers in Lebanon, I should say. That ought to really upset every American. That a mass murderer, at least that's their intent, to mass murder Israelis, died as part of a mass murder army. And Americans are celebrating his life and praying for him as a martyr who sacrificed his life, as they call it, on the road to Jerusalem, killing Jews. And here in Dearborn, Michigan, they're having a memorial for him. If that doesn't scare the hell out of you about who's in this country, I don't know what will.
Well, there's a reason why they call them sleeper cells. They're probably just waiting to get activated. And I believe we're seeing so many fronts of what's happening in our country that I've been saying this for a while, that I suspect something dramatic is going to happen between now and November. We've already had 2 episodes happen that were very, very dramatic. Thank God nothing really came of it. But I think the American people are next. Something dramatic. And there's a reason why they're bringing these people here. There's a reason why they're celebrating the death of terrorists here. There's a reason why they're doing that. And they're just waiting for the right time. And I think the time for them is going to be between now and November. And if, let's say, November comes and goes, and they don't, they still will have until January, which I believe something's going to happen between then as well, because of Chuck Schumer, what he said.
Wow. I hope pray you are absolutely wrong, but it's hard.
I hope so. But the crazy thing is, you see it too.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, you see it too. Everyone sees it.
It's getting crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I want to thank everyone for joining us today, especially the fabulous Will Johnson, the founder of United America First. And remember, we have some incredible videos coming out in the next few days. Please go. Findberry.com, sign up for free. The mailing list will get you the videos for free. You can also go to Unite America First and sign up with Will as well, but you got to see some of our content that we have just recorded. It's being edited. It will be out in the next few days. You don't want to miss it. For all of us at ATP and at Unite America First, we appreciate you more than you know. We will see you next Thursday. Bye for now.